Welcome back to my episode review of The Haunted Mask, Part 2. If you're new here, I did a review of the first part in my last video, so feel free to watch that video if you'd like. This episode takes place right after the last episode, so let's get right into it. We pick up where we last left off, and that was Carly Beth strangling Sabrina for asking too many questions. But then Carly Beth starts laughing and lets go of Sabrina.
Should have seen your face, it was the best.
The best?
Did you actually think I was gonna hurt you?
It's not that funny, Carly Beth. It's a little sick.
I'm sorry. I'm just staying in character, getting in the mood.
Sabrina tells her she's doing a good job, and Carly Beth says she likes scaring people. She's always the one being scared. Sabrina tells Carly Beth that next time she goes crazy to warn her.
Okay.
They start to make their way to the first house to trick or treat, and Carly Beth rings the doorbell obnoxiously. A mom and her two kids open the door. The mom was played by Anne-Marie DeLuise, who is known for Thaw, Love Happens, and Stargate SG-1.
Oh, now that's what I call a scary mask.
What are you supposed to be, a giant hamster?
No, cat.
I don't like the other one, Mom. Too scary.
Oh, it's just a funny mask, hon. Don't be afraid.
You better watch what you say to me if you know it's good for you.
The mother gets mad at Carly Beth.
Hey, cut it out!
And if you don't start talking, you'll get what's coming to you, too.
The mom tells Sabrina she's going to call the police. Sabrina is shocked and says she's usually not like that. She catches up to Carly Beth, who is laughing. Sabrina tells Carly Beth that the lady is calling the cops on her.
I'm not afraid of her.
Sabrina tells Carly Beth she's acting like somebody else, somebody she doesn't even know.
It's not me, Sabrina. It's the mask. The mask made me do it. Mask? What? Forget it.
Sabrina tells Carly Beth that they should just go back to her house, but Carly Beth snaps back and tells her no, that Halloween is her night, a night where she can have fun, a night where she doesn't have to be scarable Carly Beth, and runs off laughing. It cuts to the cemetery entrance where Chuck and Steve are goofing off and looking over their candy they got. Steve asks Chuck what they should do next, and Chuck suggests going into the cemetery. Steve doesn't really want to go in, but Chuck insists, and they both go in. It cuts to Carly Beth causing destruction around the neighborhood. Carly Beth is running at full speed, having the time of her life. It cuts back to the cemetery where Chuck and Steve are dancing together.
16 men on a dead man's chest. Yo ho ho, and away we go.
Chuck starts looking through his candy, which is over a headstone. Steve asks Chuck if this would be easier at his house, but then Chuck says he thinks he hears something.
What? Over there.
I don't see anything.
Chuck starts laughing with that annoying laugh of his.
Funny.
Carly Beth happens to run by the cemetery entrance, where she hears Chuck and Steve, and heads inside the cemetery to look for them. Carly Beth sees Chuck and Steve, where Chuck is gasping from laughter.
You really get a kick out of everything.
Chuck then hears some rustling noise and tells Steve he hears something. Steve naturally doesn't believe him, but Chuck tells him he's for real this time. We see Carly Beth sneaking up behind them. Carly Beth then surprises Chuck and Steve. Chuck asks Carly Beth who she is. Carly Beth says guess, and Steve asks if they know her, and Carly Beth says yes. Chuck figures out it's Carly Beth real quick, and Steve says she really scared them. Carly Beth says they've been looking for them, and shows them Carly Beth's head.
How are you making that weird voice?
Apologize to her. Tell Carly Beth you're sorry.
Apologize? For what?
For what? For every time you scared her. For every time you made people laugh at her.
We were just goofing around. We only did it because we liked her.
It's no excuse. It's not how you show someone you like her.
Chuck tells Carly Beth to give them a break. Carly Beth tells them to apologize to Carly Beth's head.
We're sorry. We're sorry again.
Help me.
Talked.
Please help me.
Chuck and Steve take off running from fright, and Carly Beth also drops in from shock herself. Carly Beth sees Chuck and Steve running away, and Carly Beth starts howling. Carly Beth then starts looking for a spot to bury the head sculpture, and starts digging a hole with her hands. Carly Beth then says bye-bye scaredy cat, and starts burying it. Carly Beth takes off running back to the neighborhood and stops to catch her breath. Then Sabrina grabs Carly Beth. Sabrina says she's been looking for her everywhere, and where was she? And Carly Beth tells her she guesses she got a little lost. Sabrina tells Carly Beth that she was worried about her and questions what happened to Carly Beth's hands. Carly Beth says she fell in the mud. Sabrina asks where her sculpture is.
I got rid of it.
You got rid of it?
Hey, don't look at me like that.
Sabrina asks if she found Chuck and Steve, and Carly Beth says yeah, and Sabrina asks if she scared them. Carly Beth says she thinks so. Sabrina asks if she hurt them, and Carly Beth says of course not. Sabrina then tells Carly Beth they should just go home, and they walk towards Sabrina's house. Inside, Carly Beth is washing her hands while Sabrina empties her bag of candy. Sabrina says she had to get a lot of candy for her cousin because she has the flu and couldn't go tonight. Carly Beth says she needs to get rid of this mask because it's super hot inside. She tries to pull it off, but can't.
Ah! Ouch! Carly Beth, what is it?
Mask. It won't come off.
Really? You can't get it off?
It's like it's stuck to my skin.
Well, it's gonna sound pretty dumb if we have to call the fire department to come get you.
Shut up and help me.
You really are stuck, aren't you?
Oh, please be very gentle. It really hurts.
Carly Beth then suggests they cut it off with scissors or a knife, and grabs a knife, but Sabrina stops her and tells her it's too dangerous. Carly Beth says she doesn't care, and that she's freaking out now. Sabrina calms her down and tells Carly Beth to try one more time, and if they can't get it off, they'll get Sabrina's mom to help cut it off.
There must be a place I can reach down and... Oh.
What's the matter?
There's no bottom to this mask. There's no line in between the mask and your skin. There's no place I can reach my hand in.
That's crazy. That's just crazy.
Carly Beth runs to the mirror to look for herself, and sees that there is in fact no line to the mask.
There's no line. There's no line here. I'm gonna tell my mom.
His eyes. His eyes in the mirror.
What about them?
They're not my eyes, Sabrina. My eyes don't look like that.
Try to calm down, Carly Beth.
Those aren't my eyes. Where are my eyes? Where am I?
You're scaring me.
Carly Beth freaks out and runs out of Sabrina's house, where she runs into some trick-or-treaters outside. One of them asks Carly Beth what she's supposed to be.
I'm supposed to be mean, but I'm not. I'm supposed to be mean, but I'm not. Come back. Please come back. Come back.
Carly Beth starts to run towards the novelty shop where she got the mask. Carly Beth tells herself that this is all a bad dream and that she's going to wake up. She runs towards the novelty shop, and then the shopkeeper opens the door and tells her he's been expecting her. Carly Beth tells him she can't get the mask off. Shopkeeper tells her he knows. Carly Beth tells him to help her take the mask off, but the shopkeeper tells her he cannot do that he cannot remove the mask. Carly Beth says why not, but the shopkeeper walks away from her and again repeats he cannot remove the mask. Carly Beth says why not.
The mask. It is a real face.
I don't understand. How can they be real?
They weren't ugly in the beginning. They were beautiful. As beautiful as any face could be. But something went wrong. They changed. They became hideous. after another, no matter what I did to stop the decay. No matter what I did, deformity set in. Ugliness. Monstrosity.
I don't believe any of this.
I call them the unloved ones. Because no one will ever love them now. No one.
The shopkeeper tells Carly Beth that she was the only one that wanted them, who loved them. Carly Beth screams no, that she hates the mask and that she wants it off, and now.
Hey! I hate this face! I hate this face! I hate it! I hate it!
Carly Beth, I'm sorry. But this face is your face now.
No! No!
The shopkeeper tells Carly Beth there might be one possibility. Carly Beth turns around. The shopkeeper asks her how many times has she taken the mask off. Carly Beth answers and says once. The shopkeeper then tells her there still might be a chance. Carly Beth says to tell her. The shopkeeper tells Carly Beth that he cannot take off the mask, only she can, with the symbol of love. Carly Beth says she doesn't know what that means, and how does he know all this stuff?
I was the man who created these faces, Carly Beth.
You made them? But why?
I was like you. I did not love myself. I made these faces to hide behind them, to hide my faults. But the faults were inside me. That's what infected the faces, turned them into monsters. Like this one is turning now. Very soon it will join the other failures on the shelf. I don't dare show you what's underneath. Or perhaps I should. So that you will appreciate who you are and what you have always had.
No, I want my fist back! I want my fist! I want myself back!
Oh, shh, quiet. You'll awaken them.
Carly Beth asks what's happening. The shopkeeper tells Carly Beth to run, and Carly Beth takes off running. The masks are following Carly Beth, telling her to join them.
Come on.
Carly Beth runs to the cemetery and starts to dig up the sculpture while shouting at the masks to stay away from her. She finally grabs the sculpture from the ground.
This is Carly Beth. I am Carly Beth. This is me. Get away. Get away.
The masks run away, and then Carly Beth tries to take the mask off, and it comes off easily this time. Carly Beth says it's just a mask now. She looks at the sculpture and says it was the symbol of love. Carly Beth then runs out of the cemetery and runs back home. She sees Noah, and he starts freaking out, telling Carly Beth to take off her mask. Carly Beth looks in the mirror and then looks at Noah, and Noah tells her he got her.
I gotcha, I gotcha, I gotcha.
Carly Beth calls for her mom, and she sees her and hugs her. Carly Beth tells her mom she loves her, and her mom asks what happened. Carly Beth apologizes and says she didn't mean to frighten her, but she had a very long and weird night. But everything's okay now. Her mom asked her why she didn't wear her duck costume, and why she wasn't with Sabrina, saying Sabrina called twice looking for her. Carly Beth says she learned a lot about herself tonight, and they hug one more time. Then they hear Noah laughing.
Noah, don't put on that mask.
Don't worry, I won't.
Two.
Trick or treat.
It ends with Arl Stein saying that wasn't too scary, was it? He asks his mom and his dad to see what they think. He says he thinks they liked it and hopes we did too, and tells us to have a scary day, and the episode ends. And that concludes the premiere episode of Goosebumps, and I thought that this was a great start to the series. It set the tone for the rest of the show. I remember watching this when it first premiered and how excited I was that Goosebumps finally had a show, because I would read the books and always imagine what it would look like as a live action show, and it finally happened. This episode had some really creepy scenes in it, and I loved the designs of the masks. They did a great job. The acting was pretty good, and although it seemed a little over the top sometimes, it still was decent enough to keep me into the show. I thought that this was the perfect choice for the first episode, and watching it again as an adult, I think it still holds up. But let me know what you thought of this episode, and did you watch it when it premiered too? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.